It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a can of Skol Super coming in at 8% ABV in a 500ml can. Half litre look around the top. An interesting looking beer. It's been brewed by Carlsberg in Northampton in the UK. We have water, malted barley, syrup, hops, carbon dioxide and caramel. Fair play to them. You don't have to put the ingredients on the side of the can anymore. Not forever in the UK. In fact, you've never had to put the ingredients on the side of a can before. And if you think of some of the other strong lagers we've reviewed recently, there's no ingredients whatsoever. So fair play to Skol for being brave enough to say, hey, this is what's in our beer. We're not afraid to say it. Without further ado, let's get this can out into a glass and see what we get. I had some really interesting comments from my original Skol Lager review. Some absolutely fascinating comments out there from you lovely people who watched that original video that we did about a month or so back. And you were all saying that, you know, there's a country where this beer, Brazil? I think it's Brazil, where Skol is still the #1 selling beer. That's some of the comments we had in the YouTube comment section, that Skol, if it's not the #1 best-selling beer, it's like right up there with one of the best-selling beers in Brazil. Skol, I remember it being quite big in the 1980s in the UK. I believe there was an advert that went Skol, 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 Skol too. This is the super version. It's 8% ABV, and I'm going to make no judgments. Because I've not made judgments as such, but I've made I've given out a couple of stories regarding what the type of person to buy this beer, and I just think that maybe it's not my place. Maybe it's not my place to speak about, well, not about, but the people who may buy this beer. On with the review then. We've got a 1 finger whitehead, good levels of carbonation. I mean, for me it looks like a lager. Slight haze in there. Let's get the aroma. It does smell very syrupy. And there's a reason for that. This beer would be sold quite cheaply. I think I only paid about £1.60 for this round my local shop. For an 8% beer, that's not bad at all in terms of the ABV versus the price you paid for this beer. There's a reason for that. What they do, they don't brew the beer with an awful lot of malted barley. Malted barley is quite expensive if you're trying to sell a beer for £1.60. So what they do, they supplement the malted barley with syrup and caramel, and even carbon dioxide. They've even put carbon, because there's no second fermentation going on in this beer. So the caramel and the syrup are the sugars they put into the beer that then get converted into alcohol. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Did I get the aroma? Yeah, caramelly, sweet beer. Let's dive in. Very sweet. I think they've added the caramel and the syrup afterwards. I think they've left the beer ferment out at 8% ABV, and then they've added the caramel and syrup afterwards to make it really sweet, to make it really drinkable, and to be able to be drunk really quickly and fast. And then they've even added the carbon dioxide in there to make it really carbonated. These guys know what they're doing. It's Carlsberg. It's the same company that makes, of course, Carlsberg what is it called? Super? Carlsberg Special Brew. Carlsberg Special Brew. Same company that makes that, but this is different. This is different. This is sweeter, more syrupy, more caramelly, more kind of like, it's almost thicker. It's almost like a lager soup, a strong lager soup. It's funny because I don't know if this is a good thing for me or a bad thing, but I could drink this. I could go and sit in the garden and drink a pint or two or three of these. And I don't know if that's a good thing for me personally or a bad thing for me personally. I'd like to think that I could steer clear of the cheap, strong lagers. Just from my experiences in life. I'm trying to be really fair here. I'm trying to be... Because I've had what have we done so far? We've done Special Brew. We've done Kestrel Super. And we've had a few comments from people saying, hey, don't be too judgmental. You know, don't be... Just be your reviewing self. I told a couple of stories of people that I once met, or once were friends with, in pubs around this area, and the pub shut down, and now you see them buying cans of Kestrel Super 10 years later around the shop. And I talked about how much of a shame that was, and blah 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 blah. But we're not going to do that today. We're not going to do that. We're going to kind of like try and just concentrate on the beer. Just concentrate on the beer. But I wasn't being judgmental. I wouldn't like to think that I was being judgmental. I was just making an observation. What does this say about this beer then? Skol Super it is a full-bodied strong lager with a characteristic fruity aroma. They made it fruity by making it very sweet. They really have. They've made it fruity by making it very, 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 very sweet. They've said that they put hops in the beer. Probably a Czech or a German hop in there. Yeah, that's it then. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at this is Skol Super. I'm not really a fan. Okay, I would drink it. I would drink it in the garden. Which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, whether I can drink 2 or 3 of these and end up waking up like 6 o'clock in the afternoon wondering where everybody is, you know. Yeah, let's rate it. I think Carlsberg here, the owners of Skol and Skol Super, have been very, very clever with the syrup and the caramel that they've added to this beer. They've made it rather tasty in a slightly scary way, if I'm honest. I actually found that rather drinkable. Yeah, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 for me. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.